Hi everyone, Terry Gigi here. I am here to do the video that I promised a few weeks ago when I came back to YouTube of where I've been during the months of October, November, December. And yeah, that's what this video is about. I'm going to break it up into two parts. I'm going to put my glasses on so I can see because I took some notes. So, where was I? I was in Texas, as you know. I was with my parents. I've mentioned before, very briefly, that my dad has dementia. And he has had it for many, many years. It has been very slow progression. But in the last 2 or 3 years, it's really gotten bad. He was diagnosed way back in Florida. Not really diagnosed, but that was the only thing that could that the doctors would say. They wouldn't even say dementia, but they said it was vascular in nature, as in he had had some strokes in his brain that he didn't know, we didn't know, but they were slowly, causing dementia. Dementia is an umbrella term for all the things like Lewy bodies, Alzheimer's, all those things fall under that umbrella. So, here's what happened. As you know, I was in the hurricane and that whole scene. And then while we were still sitting in the house with no electricity and the tree on the house, I got a call from my brother that my mom was in the hospital. And something happened with her walking. She wouldn't make her leg wouldn't do what she wanted it to do. So she went into the hospital for 2 days. She was okay. I talked to her many times. And then I flew out, I think 2 days after that. My brother was going to be in Colombia and his wife, so I was going to be with my parents. What ended up happening is right before I got there, the day before, my mom fell. She was released, got home, fell, and we thought broke her ankle. So then she was in a big boot. She came home in a wheelchair, and it was just a lot. So my mom hired help to be there for like 12 hours a day, because I kind of had to take care of Dad. She had to kind of have someone take care of her. Of course, we all did everything. And that is where the problems started. My brother left town, so it was just me, my mom, and my dad, and caretakers. The caretakers, I will be honest with you, really, the company oversold them. It made everything so much worse. I think if I had just done it myself, we would have been better off. But I couldn't leave and go to the grocery store, do anything like that, because my dad wasn't able to push my mom even around in the wheelchair very well, because his brain just doesn't cooperate with what he wants things to do or happen. And it got very, very stressful with the caregivers in the house. Very stressful. I can't describe to you, unless you've been through this with a family member and lived with them, I can't describe to you the level of stress and fear and uncertainty and just all the feelings that you have when you have someone that has that much advanced dementia. It's one thing for them to ask you a question over and over. Okay, I can do that pretty much all day long. But when they argue, they don't agree, they tell you you're wrong, and many other behaviors, it just eats you up inside. And we have known this has been happening to my mom, but they were not going to budge. No matter what happened, neither one of them were budging. So this is what we had. We had two people living in a house that it was untenable. It wasn't going to work. There was going to be a disaster. In fact, one time my brother and I talked to a lawyer and said, what can we do? We don't want to not meaning that we were going to force them to do anything, because you can't force people to do anything unless you can prove they're a danger to themselves. And you can't prove stuff like that most of the time. So she said it will be a disaster. There will be a situation where that's it. They're going to have to move. So this is where we were at. We had our disaster. We had I can't remember what they called it, but so my mom ended up not having the ankle broken, but she couldn't put any weight on it. It was terribly twisted and sprained. So there were doctor visits, there were phone calls, there were things going wrong in the house. There were the caregivers there that were just, ugh. It was so, so stressful. I'm not even going to get into it, but let me just say that on my end, I'm only going to talk about me. I ended up having to take my dad to the hospital one day by myself. I ended up having to take him to the doctor another day. Something happened in the car. I had a panic attack while I was driving. It was just him and I. There was no shoulder, there was nowhere to pull off. It was really bad. I can't really explain it unless you've lived this thing. You're always on high alert, high alert. And every single day, my brother and I would talk back and forth while he was in Columbia. We would talk back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and he would give me a list of things to do. Because now at this point, we had decided that we were going to put my dad in memory care. It was that or it was going to kill my mom. So it was like there's no good choices in these situations. So if you ever find yourself in this situation and there's no good choices, you're right. There's no good choices. There's only choices. And is there the perfect choice? Not usually. Is there the right choice? I don't know. If we made the wrong choice, I don't know what the right choice would have been. So I am trying to, behind the scenes, prepare paperwork and I don't even know, powers of attorney, trying to get all that stuff together by myself. I don't know any of that stuff, you know? So anyway, long story short, after my brother got home about a week later, I'll tell you this, it was so bad that one day something happened and I didn't tell Scott because he would have made me leave. And I finally called him at about 4 that afternoon. He got in his truck at 5 p.m. and drove overnight, 12, 13, 14 hours to Austin by himself. That's how serious it was. We did end up getting my dad into a care facility. It's the top of the line. It's the best they have. But you know what? It was the most difficult thing we've ever done. The preparation for it was even more difficult because my mom had to sign papers and she didn't want to. And finally, she kind of saw the situation for what it was and realized that she had to do that. After 5 weeks, we got him there. And you would think that once we took him and dropped him off, that we would feel a great sense of relief. But instead we felt worse. There's so much sadness in these situations. There's so much grief. There's so much of the unknown. It was just a nightmare. I mean, I had to drive around by myself and furnish my dad's room at the place. He has a huge room. I mean, it's 18 feet by like 9 feet or something. It's a huge room, huge bathroom, really nice. But I had to buy a bed, a headboard, the furniture. I mean, everything. And I had to try to pack a bag and without him seeing me in the closet. And I'm always hiding and doing stuff quietly. And I would have to fill his pill minder. I had to take the pills and everything in the pill minder. And all the pills were hidden. I had to take them, go in the bathroom, turn the water on full blast, and quietly try to fill the. I mean, it was just. See, I'm getting upset talking about it because it was so. The heightened alert was so bad, but we did it, and my brother and I are really proud that we were able to do this, and we were so grateful and thankful that my mom finally got on board, even though it's still hard. It's still hard all the time. Phone calls and visits and things like that. And with COVID, we're not able. I still haven't seen him since he went in there because you can only designate 2 people to be the visitors. So it's my mom and my brother, obviously, because I'm not there. I think next time I go, I'm going to see him outside. But, you don't. What's really, really hard about this, too, is you don't want to disrupt their life because according to my dad, when he talks to my mom, it's terrible, it's horrible, he hates it, come get me. Of course, that makes sense. But then when you talk to the staff, they say, he's doing pretty well. He's doing really well, actually. He adjusted really quickly. But, do you believe the staff? Are they just saying that? And then the doctor, there's a doctor that visits there, a young man, and he's amazing. And he told us the truth. He said, your dad's doing fantastic. And we said, well, what would happen if we tried to move him back out and live with my mom? Is he where he needs to be? Because he's very, very, very high functioning for this kind of a place. And the doctor said, no, he is exactly where he needs to be. But he said, I've been even able to drop down some of his medication because he's calm. He's calm in this place. Unless he sees one of us, then he gets agitated, right? But he's calm because he's not at home worrying about all the things, the well, the air conditioner, the garbage disposal, the dishwasher, the refrigerator, the water softener, all the things, y'all, all the things. He's not having to worry about those things and constantly check on them and everything. He's just, to some degree, at peace. Let me see if there was anything else. Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. And so my next video, I want to tell you how I coped. What coping mechanisms did I use while I was there for those 5 weeks and then left and came back and everything? What were my coping mechanisms? I really want to share those with you next time. In fact, I'll probably do that video as soon as this one's over, because I do think I came up with a few strategies that helped me. But I can tell you that I don't know how my mom has done it. Honestly, not on any level do I know how my mom's done it, but it has greatly, greatly affected her health. I will tell you that. Greatly affected her health. And which is really sad. If we could have tried to do something different maybe 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 2 years ago even, I think she would be in much better shape. But, people make decisions and they live with, good or bad, they live with what those decisions do to their lives. So you can look at it two ways. Oh, Mom, now you're having all these issues, but then she got to stay in her home for 3 or 4 extra years than some of us might have thought. And they were together for those extra years, even though they weren't necessarily good years. So again, there's no right or wrong answer. It's what the person wants to do. And yeah, that's it. So in my next video, like I said, I'm going to talk about depression and fear and guilt and coping mechanisms that will work even when you're under stress in other circumstances, I do believe. So that's where I was. That's what I was doing. There's so much I've left out, and that would just make you just not even believe unless you've been there. Different people deal with dementia differently. Some people are just forgetful. Some people do the opposite of how they used to be. Like if they were really sweet, they're really mean. If they were really mean, they're really sweet. You just never know how your loved one is going to respond. So I'll leave you with this. Do not judge anybody for how they tend to their elderly parents or older parents. Don't judge them because you haven't walked in their shoes, and their shoes are different than your shoes. Yes, there's some people that just throw their parents away. I get that. But a lot of people don't do that, but they're accused of doing that because everybody's threshold is different and everybody's situation is different. So that's it for today. I'll put my other video up in a few days, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.